ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवंश्च। श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधाकान्त नमस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौरंगी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखुम करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयति गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। All right, I'm very happy to be with all of you. Um, we are continuing our discussion on Vritrasura. Last week we saw the interaction between the Devatas and Narayan, and this is the last thing that we discussed, where Narayan, the Devatas were asking Lord Narayan that um, please incarnate again and help us. And uh, Narayan updated the Devatas that Vratrasura will not harm you because he is my devotee, exhibited full confidence. Um, Now, this is where we are beginning. The demigods approached the Dichi and begged for his body. So, Narayan told the demigods that you go to the Dichi, you make a weapon using the bones of the Dichi. With that, you will be able to kill um, Vartrasura. So the demigods approached the Dichi and begged for his body. The Dichi was very liberal. He at once partially accepted. However, jokingly he spoke as follows. So now we are discussing the interaction between Devatas and the Dichi. Don't you know about the pain at the time of death, which is severe, unbreakable, unbearable, and takes away the consciousness of all embodied beings? So the Dichi is kind of joking with him. The Dichi Muni is a self-realized soul. We saw last time he even gave uh, um, the spiritual knowledge to Ashwini Kumaras. But he is joking, he's completely detached himself, and we will see that today. But he is joking in a way, don't you know the pain? Because by default, a person is most attached to the body. Um, One reason we are afraid of death is because we are afraid of suffering. I mean, that's one of the main reasons. Srila Prabhupada says this word is bhog and tyag. We are trying to accept wherever we can find some happiness and reject wherever there is some suffering. Um, um, the Dichi Muni explains that death takes away the consciousness of all embodied beings. So when a person is dying, his intellect does not work. His whole consciousness is like taken away. कुछ समझ नहीं आता उस वक्त, because the pain is so intense that intellect don't work. Um, 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 where we find deeply our shelter, um, that will come, um, that help we will call out. um, we saw based on attachments. We saw how Ajamil called out his son because he was so attached to it. So it's the emotions are very heavy, and where we are truly receiving shelter. Like right now, we are worshiping Krishna with our intellect. The day should come when we worship Krishna with our heart, um, and we develop that kind of relationship with him. When that is there, even though the pain may be very intense, there will be no other shelter other than Krishna, because that's what we have cultivated throughout our life. The body is very dear to every jiva, struggling to keep it forever. Everyone is trying to protect it. Therefore, who can bear giving it up? So this is Dadichi Muni telling. Now, Dadichi Muni is completely renounced, um, but he is mentioning, um, um, as if because he wants to hear Indra's and demigods' response. So he's telling the body is very dear to every jiva, struggling to keep it forever. Everyone is trying to live long. Everyone is trying to protect it. And um, now, if you see, demigods are afraid. When Vratrasura, when they struck the weapon against Vratrasura, Vratrasura swallowed the weapons, and it was he's too huge for the demigods. They were afraid of death, and they flew to take shelter of Narayan. Please kill him, because they were afraid. And here they themselves are coming and asking. Now there are very important lessons that come as we progress in this Dadichimuni pastime, and they themselves are coming and they are asking Dadichi Muni, you gave your life. For whom should you give your life? So that we can get our kingdom back. Because now one thing is, Narayan told them like that. That's correct. But another angle is also their personal motivation. That's why um, there is karma mishtha, where I am trying to serve the Lord. This is Lord's instruction. At the same time, I have my own personal interest here. To protect it, one is willing to sacrifice all one's possession. Now, the living entity is very careful with where he uses his investment. He is not even willing to spend $10 in charity, because one is so attached. But when the person is struggling with life, he is willing to give up all his possession, and that's what usually happens. Is people, lot of their investment goes in their health, especially in their old age. So that much dear is the body. Nothing else compares to that. Um, there is one story. It is, I mean, the first time I heard, I was literally shocked. But it's a true story. It signifies the point that one time the scientists did an experiment. So they put a woman with a child under experiment in a glass jar, a big glass confinement, and the water started filling. So uh, the mother was shouting, "Escape, escape, escape!" Nobody was listening. It was empty room. So the water level start to rise. The water level rise up to uh, the knee, the waist, the shoulder, up to almost the mouth. So the mother, he was a small baby. So the mother put the baby above her head like this, and the water was up to her, and she was trying to save the baby. And then the water grew, and she was unable to breathe. So when the water went up till here, she tried to tolerate, and so that the baby is safe. But then at one point of time, the mother took the baby and put her under the feet so that she can breathe. um, um, so that experiment, I mean, it's a very crude experiment, but it just shows that there is nobody dear to a conditioned soul than one's body. So Dadichi Muni is telling the body is very dear, struggling to keep it forever. How can one give it up? You are not willing to give up your body. You went to Narayan, but to save you, you have come to me so that I give up my body. No one wants to give up his body unless it is forcibly taken away. Um, um, People are doing so much investment and research so that they can live little longer. So that much attachment one has towards one body. Um, Now, very beautiful conversation. Now, this was more of a uh, out of curiosity, the Dishimuni asked, because he is completely renounced. But very important instruction come in this interaction. So the demigods replied, O exalted Brahmana, pious people like you whose activities are praiseworthy are very kind and affectionate to people in general. Um, Now, some people who are pious, they are very affectionate and they are very kind. Some who are not, um, they are little harsh and little rude, kind of. So, indicating that Dadichi Muni, you are very pious, you are a great soul. So, you are very kind and affectionate to people in general. In other words, um, inherently implying that please be affectionate and kind to us. You are a Muni, you are detached, it doesn't matter to you, you are qualified. So, Dadichi asked this question, a person is very attached to one's body, how can he give it up? He give up his own relatives, friends, families, possession to save one's own body. So when the body is so dear, how can one give it up? And demigod said, well, but for an exalted devotee, more important concern is not their own life, but it's care for others, their kindness and their affection toward others. They don't care much about their own self, but they derive their joy by serving others. This is the symptoms of great souls. So Dadichi Muni, you are correct. A common man is like this, but you are not a common man. You are a highly exalted Vaishnava. So something else is expected out of you. What can't such pious souls give for the benefit of others? They can give everything, including their bodies. So, very beautiful answer by Indra, and very true. And the Devatas continue speaking. Nunam swartho paroloko. Uh, Swartha. Artha, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Artha means material desires. Swartha means one who is, बहुत हम लोग we say sometime in हिंदी ये बहुत स्वार्थी है. स्वार्थी है means बहुत selfish है. Means those who are very much attached to their own self. वो केवल अपना भलाई के बारे में सोचते हैं. If there are 5 people suffering who are their friend, the first thing they will think is, how can I be safe? How everything can be used for to keep my body fit and happy. Even if others are suffering, they don't care about others suffering. All they care about is myself. So, Nunam Swartha Paro Loco. Loco is all those people, um, all those all those people who are engaged, who are very selfish. Na Veda Para Sankatam. Veda is to know. Vedas are the books through which we can know about the Supreme Lord. Veda is to know. Para Sankatam. Sankat is Dukha. Dukha. Para Sankat means दूसरों का दुखा. Just like we say para dukha dukhi. One who um, one who feels the pain of others. He is called Paradukha Dukhi. This quality of Paradukha Dukhi is we are going to discuss in next 20-25 minutes, just this one quality, para dukha dukhi. That's the main theme for today. So na veda para sankatam. So these people who are selfish, na veda, they don't know the pain of others. So only great personalities, because they are selfless, they are not engaged and not attached to their sense gratification, they think about others. But those who are too absorbed in sense gratification, they cannot have any compassion. They cannot feel the pain of others because they are just so full of their own selfish. Um, they think as long as I am happy and my spouse is happy and my children are happy and my parents are happy, let the whole world suffer. I don't care. All I care is Janasya Mohoyam Aham Mamiti. I and mine. People connected to me and connect people myself first. And then second, those who are connected to myself, they should be safe. They should be happy. Even if I have to steal others' property to make them happy, that's all right. If I have to give others suffering, that's all right. They're too concerned about themselves. Then if somebody else is suffering, their compassion is only lip service. Lip service means words of mouth. यार बहुत बुरा हुआ उनके साथ. But their heart does not move. They don't feel, but they just act as if they are feeling because they want to show that they are good people. That's all. But as long as one is selfish, one cannot feel others' pain, one cannot feel compassion. Recently, we had a Shrimad Bhagavatam class by one very, very sincere devotee, and Yugal Kishore Prabhu asked him this question that Prabhu, um, what transforms the heart of other people? And then he mentions that when other people see that we are selfless, and we feel for them, then their heart becomes transformed but just by seeing that. Srila Prabhupada was able to touch the heart of other people because they saw that Prabhupada genuinely cared for us. They were just moved by that. That this man doesn't want anything other than giving me happiness, giving us happiness. He just cares for us. So that is the quality of a devotee that touches the heart of every living entity. And to the extent we have compassion, to that extent we can give Krishna to others. To the extent it is artificial, to that extent we cannot touch others' heart because they will understand it. Paramatma is sitting in everyone's heart. So the essence is those who are selfish can only superficially feel the pain of others. Um, Yadi Veda na yachita. Yachita means to know. Yachita means to ask. Yadi Veda. Veda is to know. So Prabhupada describes this: if one knows the pain of others, one would not ask. Um, um, Referring to Ishvara, the next line, it's connected to the next line. Ishvara Prabhupada describes as to give charity. So if a beggar, if a beggar knows the pain the donor has to give through, or if the person who is asking donation, if he knows the pain the donor will go through, he will never ask. He will never ask because he cannot give misery to others. Now, not bringing Krishna consciousness here, but in general principle. Um, Neti naha yad Ishvara. When a devotee asks, then like Sukadev Goswami writes in Srimad Bhagavatam that a devotee goes and beg for alms, beg for food, not for his own sense gratification, but to give the householder a chance for service so that they can grow in their spiritual understanding. So that's the reason a saintly person beg door to door madhukari is just for the welfare of others. But in general, um, 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 a person who is attached to sense gratification, when he asks others, um, um, he cannot understand the pain others go through. He's only concerned about give me, give me, give me, give me, give me. um, in other words, now there is a very heavy implication that you are asking me for my life, but you are concerned not about the pain that I will go through. You are concerned, I mean, there's an implication. One is concerned on, one is only focused on what am I going to get if I get the bones. What am I going to get from it? Um, um, Neti naha yad ishvara. Now this is spoken by demigods itself, but the wisdom is absolute. The wisdom is perfect because this is Vedic knowledge. Um, if the donor knows beggar's pain, he would not refuse. If a donor, if he knows the pain of what the person is going through, then he would not refuse to give charity. In other words, the whole world is selfish, in general, except the great souls like you, the Dichi Muni, because you are completely selfless. You know others' pain. That's the implication from demigod side. Um, you know our pain. You can feel what we are going through for the benefit of the whole world. You can give up your body. You are qualified. And demigods are glorifying Dadichi Muni for his selflessness. Only a selfless person can feel the pain of others. Compassion, para dukha dukhi. This is a qualification to feel the pain of others. Now, very beautiful purport by
Prabhuji, I
Srila
have a
Prabhupada.
question, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Prabhuji, here it is saying the selfless person can understand, but Dadichi Muni is selfless, but Indra is not selfless. So,
Yeah, so Indra is telling to Dadichi Muni that
hmm,
you are selfless, so you can understand our pain. So please give your boons. This is
okay.
a direct meaning. Indirect meaning also is, uh, they are not much concerned about. This is a opposite meaning, which Indra didn't apply, but Indra didn't specifically mention, but that's an implied meaning. So our acharyas explain both categories, that it doesn't matter to us what pain you go through, but we want to kill Vratrasura. So both cases are present simultaneously. Does that help,
Hmm.
Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yeah. Thank you,
Okay,
Prabhuji.
okay, okay. Very, very beautiful purport on this by Srila Prabhupada. I will read it. Try to be very attentive. At the present moment, the entire world is in a dangerous position under the spell of a godless civilization. The Krishna consciousness movement needs many exalted, learned persons who will sacrifice their lives to revive God consciousness throughout the world. We therefore invite all men and women advanced in knowledge to join the Krishna consciousness movement and sacrifice their life for the great cause of reviving God consciousness of human society. So Prabhupada is telling, we therefore invite all men and women advanced in knowledge to join the Krishna consciousness movement to sacrifice their life for the cause of reviving God consciousness of human society. As one advances, one stops thinking about his own progress, even spiritual progress, or his own uh, family life, his own desires for big this and big that and this and that and this and that, and to grow one's kingdom. He stops desiring all those things, but the main desire that remains, to the how advanced we are, how much progress we are making, can be seen by how much selfless we are becoming. How much selfless we are becoming. It's not possible in the very beginning because one is only concerned about, okay, my bhakti should be good. I should be able to chant nicely. and I should have a nice family, a nice children, and the concern is still I. And those people who are advanced in knowledge, they don't care about I and mine. Am I happy, or are my those who are mine, are they happy? Mm, aham mameti, this is I and this is mine. They don't care about that, but they care about, well, uh, those who are advanced in knowledge, they care about everybody else. They help in, they develop compassion to the extent. That's why my spiritual master says we have no compassion. But we are sharing Prabhupada's compassion because compassion requires a qualification. And what is a qualification? No material desires. No material desires. To the extent we have material desires, we will be concerned about myself. I should be happy first. Like one time, one devotee told me, when a new person comes to the temple for prasadam, he sees, okay, what all can I get? I should get all good items, those which are limited specially, um, and so that I can enjoy. And when an advanced devotee comes and he sees, then he thinks, is there sufficient for everyone? Is everyone? So to the extent one is actually attached to sense gratification, about his own self, his own pleasure, um, um, he cannot feel others' pain. he it doesn't matter to him. Others don't get nice prasadam. That's all right. At least in my plate, I have all the good items that I want to eat. This extends far and wide. So Prabhupada said that those who are advanced in knowledge, we invite you to help spread Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. Because only those who care about others will take up that service of spreading Krishna consciousness. Those who are caring only about oneself, um, they are just thinking, okay, am I good? Am I good? That's all. So they try to use their time just for themselves and their own family and their own everything, their own. That's all. That's the end of my life. That's all. Others think, um, क्या सेवा कर सकते हैं? How can I assist others in their progress? And rest assured, if you care about others, you are by default. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will personally take care of you. There is a slide which says that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will personally take care of you if you're just concerned about others. Dadichi Muni, when he heard these great words of wisdom, now this there is a direct meaning which Indra is telling to imply to Dadichi Muni, which glorifies Dadichi Muni. At the same time, there is a underlying meaning which shows how they are not much concerned about Dadichi Muni, but they are concerned about, let us get the bow, let us kill Ratrasura, let us kill the kingdom back. Um, um, Dadichi Muni but was very pleased because these are the highest words of wisdom. So now Dadichi Muni glorifies and further extol the glory of um, Paradukha Dukhi, this behavior. So Dadichi Muni replied, just to hear from you about dharma, I hesitated. So he was so pleased. He said, I hesitated. I can give up right away, but I hesitated just to hear about dharma. You are the demigods. You are the in charge of dharma. Just to hear from you this principle of dharma, I hesitated to offer my body as your request. Now I will give it up, since I know that it will leave me today or tomorrow. So that's how a devotee thinks about anything. He thinks is I, me, mine. In terms of Jannasya Mohoyam Aham Mameti, he thinks I'm going to leave everything today or tomorrow. So let me use everything I have to serve the society, to serve others. Everyone is only concerned about um, just about I and me. But only few rare souls They think, well, whatever I have is for others, it's for others benefit. And of course we know the highest benefit we can give is the benefit of the soul by connecting one to Krishna. It's not material philanthropy where one is only taking care of the bodily needs, but it's much higher. Krishna consciousness. So that's how one thinks. आज नहीं तो कल, when I die, everything will be taken away from me. So let me use my free will to serve Krishna in every possible. Let me dedicate every piece that I can to serve Krishna. Um, I am myself aspiring to develop these qualities. A devotee surrenders his body, mind, and self in service of the Lord. You know, these sannyasis, they carry three dandas, three danda sannyasi. Three dandas represent body, mind, and self. So they use their body in service of the Lord, they use their mind in meditating and contemplating and remembering the Lord, and they use their self, their own self, the spirit soul, to Atma Nivedam, to surrender to the Lord. Um, so these sannyasis means everything. uh, uh, Manasa deha geha jo kichha more arpilo tuva pade nanda kishore. I offer everything to you. um, Prabhupada would call it saffron sannyasi and white sannyasi because it's a matter of consciousness. A brahmachari may be living in a temple, but he is too attached to getting nice prasadam every day and getting sufficient rest, be very comfortable, and any sacrifice, little bit I will do here and there. Prabhupada would call them matmedi. So one can be attached in the ashram, one can be attached outside. Is a state of consciousness. Am I willing to sacrifice whatever is I and mine for the welfare of others? Or am I only concerned about I should have a happy living comfortable life? So very beautiful instruction. The Dishi Muni continued, one who has no compassion for humanity in its suffering and does not sacrifice one's life for higher cause of dharma is pitied even by immovable beings. So pity means bechara, bechara, ye bechara. So even those who cannot move like trees, even they think, because they are in a very helpless condition actually. They can't move. Their consciousness is very low, so they are very helpless. Even they say, those people who think only about themselves कि ये तो बेचारा है, you know, pity करते हैं उनके ऊपर. So that is so those who have no compassion for humanity in its suffering, does not sacrifice and does not sacrifice one's life for a higher cause, they are pitied even by immovable beings. I have seen the spiritual master, when they hear about anybody suffering, their heart moves, their heart moves. um, when I mean, I'm just trying to be honest, when I hear about other suffering, nothing happens. Why? um, because we have not become selfless. It's a very high state, and whatever I'm speaking to myself. So these qualities I can try to imbibe a small percent and make my life better. Now, something from Srila Prabhupada purport continues. We offer our respectful obeisances onto the lotus feet of Lord. This is from Shrimad Bhagavatam. Who, upon whom one should always meditate, he left his householder life, leaving aside his eternal consort, Lakshmi Devi, upon whom even the denizens of heaven adore, because this is talking about Lord Chaitanya. Uh, this is talking about Lord Chaitanya. Okay. Um, okay. We offer our respectful obeisances onto the lotus feet of the Lord, upon whom one should meditate. He left his householder life. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was in householder till 24 years of age. He left his householder life, leaving aside his eternal consort. His wife was Lakshmi Devi, um, um, whom even the denizens of heaven adore. When people get newly married, they are very much attached to their wife, especially if the wife is beautiful, they are very much attached. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, wife was the beauty cannot be explained. She is Lakshmi herself, even the denizens of heaven adore. He went into the forest to deliver the fallen souls, who are put into illusion by civil people in renounce. They are socially dead people. They have no social life. They have no social life. They have no emotional exchanges. um, they they go into the forest. um, so Prabhupada says to accept sannyas means to commit civil suicide, but sannyas is compulsory at least for every beautiful wife, and very affectionate mother, um, Sachi Mata. Indeed, the affectionate dealing of his family members were so pleasing that even the demigods could not expect such happiness at home. Nevertheless, for the deliverance of all the fallen souls of the world, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas and left home when he was only 24 years of age. When he was only 24, that is forbidden. In fact, one of the things forbidden Kali Yuga is to take sannyas. But the principle that in whichever situation one is in, are we willing to use our life, our time? Are we willing to sacrifice our time, our comforts, um, our own personal desire, and direct it for the purpose of serving the humanity? Is humanity more important, or is my personal life and personal comfort more important? That's the transformation that Prabhupada is glorifying. And also it should make us understand little gratitude for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for what he did. Um, Being the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Enjoyer, still he took that step for the welfare of the humanity. And this is one of my favorite verse spoken by Srinivasacharya about six Goswamis. त्यक्त्वा तूर्णमशेषमण्डलपति श्रेणिं सदा तुच्छा भूत्वा दीनगणेशकौ करुणया कौपीनकण्ठाश्रितौ. Very beautiful. Taktva Turnam Ashesha Mandalapati. These six Goswamis, they were Mandalapati. Mandalapati means filthy rich. They were Jamindars. They were like in today's calculation, millionaires and billionaires. Ashesha Mandalapati. Taktva Turnam. They gave it up. Shenim Sada Tuchhavat. And they considered all their belongings as Tuchha. Tuchha. Why? In front of love of God, in front of serving Lord Chaitanya, in front of Krishna consciousness. They considered all their belongings as tuchha. That's why they could give up. Takta means gave up. Bhutva dina Ganesha kau karunaya kau pina kanthashritau. And they live under, like kaupin is the undergarments that sadhu wear. They only wore that and loincloth, accepting nothing else for themselves. Um, these Goswamis left their very comfortable lives as ministers, jamindars, and learned scholars, and joined Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement just to show mercy to the fallen souls of the world. Dina Ganeshakau Karunaya, accepting very humble lives as mendicants, wearing no more than loincloths and torn quilts, Kaupina Kantha, they lived in Vrindavan and followed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order to excavate Vrindavan's lost glories. So they made an attempt to sacrifice their life. Now, um, in one angle, they are eternally liberated souls, but they are also setting an example. Again, the mood is not we should go to forest and we should do these things, but the idea of cultivating this mood of sacrificing our own comfort in front of how can I serve spreading Lord Chaitanya's movement. Um, Sri Chaitanya, this is what I was sharing before. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will personally take care of our Krishna consciousness if we simply try best to serve his mission. In giving, we receive. One time recently, I was hearing a talk by Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was mentioning don't just try to sit in one corner and meditate on Krishna. You will not be able to go deeper in your meditation. Instead, if you try to go out and spread the movement and help others so that their life becomes better. If you try to sacrifice your time energy for others welfare, then you can go very deep in your meditation. Sometime devotees said that we want to go to Vrindavan and we want to focus on our sadhana. Prabhupada said, no, you won't be able to sustain like that. Just try to serve Mahaprabhu and Mahaprabhu will take care of you. Mahaprabhu will take care of you. Have faith in Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to give this Krishna consciousness movement to everyone, to the whole world. Um, um, and anybody who is trying to do that, rest assured Mahaprabhu will reciprocate with all of you personally. And those who are doing it, they are able to do it because they are receiving mercy from Lord Chaitanya. And they are advancing just by being selfless and just by living their life for the benefit of others. They are advancing more than anyone else. So the idea is if we become more concerned about others' welfare, at least desire to be like that, and become more and more selfless for others' comfort, then we are by default taken care. So Prabhupada continues. Similarly, everyone else with a materially comfortable condition in this material world should join the Krishna consciousness movement to elevate the fallen souls. Um, the word Bhuta Dayaya Maya Mrigam Daita Yepshitam and Dina Ganeshakau Karunaya all convey the same sense. These are very significant words for those interested in elevating human society to a proper understanding of life. One should join the Krishna consciousness movement following the examples of such personalities as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the six Goswamis, and before them the great sage Dadichi. Instead of wasting one's life for temporary bodily comforts, one should always be prepared to give up one's life for better cause. After all, the body will be destroyed. Therefore, one should sacrifice it for the glory of distributing religious principles throughout the world. So, today or tomorrow, the body will be destroyed, and if we are just concerned about the body, then we lose an opportunity. Here you have an opportunity. If you try to um, do whatever you can to help others in their Krishna consciousness, um, um, then you are following in the footsteps of the six Goswamis and the Dichi. The Dichi sacrificed his life for the welfare of others. Etavan avyayo dharma. Avyayo is imperishable. So, what is the real dharma? The true, imperishable religious principles. The real dharma. Punya shloke upasita. Upasita is spoken, described. Punya shloke. By punya, by loka. Loka means people. Um, Loka. So Punya Loka means people who are great souls. So the great souls have described the imperishable and true religious principles as Yo Bhuta Shoka Harshabhyam, is to feel um, um, others, bhuta, all living entities, shoka harshabhyam, their shoka, their distress, and their harsha, their happiness, atma, as mind. Sochati rishyati. Sochati is again distress, and harshati is happiness. So the highest religious principle is, as described by great personalities, is when one can feel others' suffering as oneself and others' happiness as oneself. Um, this state is attained only by very great devotees of the Lord. Um, 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 but those who are not so great, um, who are not so selfless, because till we are selfless we cannot become paradukha dukhi. Paradukha dukhi means seeing others distress, one become distress. Para sukha sukhi means seeing others happiness. Para means others. Para sukha sukhi, seeing others happiness, one becomes happy. Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, in his utter humility, that I am para dukha sukhi. Paradukha Sukhi means seeing others' misery. Um, I derive great happiness. When others suffer, I becomes very happy. And Para Sukha Dukhi. And when others enjoy, when others becomes very happy, it is a source of my great distress. So that's a state of, and that's a conditioned state. A Vaishnava is Paradukha Dukhi. This is Prabhupada mentioning. He is always unhappy to see the conditioned soul in an unhappy state of materialism. Therefore, a Vaishnava is always busy preaching Krishna consciousness throughout the world. Okay, the Dichi Muni continued. The body which is eatable by jackals and dogs after death does not actually do any good for me, the spirit soul. It is usable only for a short time and may perish at any moment. So that's how a devotee thinks. Today or tomorrow the body will go away. It is usable for a short time. Srila Prabhupada said, we have millions of births before. Give one lifetime to Krishna. How long is the duration of life? It's almost nothing. It's so short. So uh, um, the Digimon is telling, it's actually just one body. It may not do much good for me. It is usable only for a short time and may perish at any moment. The body and its possessions, its riches and relatives must all be engaged for the benefit of others, or else they will be the source of tribulation and misery. Those those who are selfless and who are um, um, trying to sacrifice their life for others' benefit, they will derive great happiness and great joy. But those people who are trying to be happy, um, um, in their own area, with their own body and with their own comforts and near and dear ones, they will find their life in great distress. In great distress. Um, yeah. In fact, Prahlad Maharaj said, if you want to be happy in this world, stop trying to be happy. Um, there was one. one Mataji in when I was studying, she was also studying there. She told me once 5 6 years back, um, in Detroit Temple. I was there. So she was in India for few years, and she got initiated there. And she told that I got initiated, and my spiritual master told me that happiness is like a shadow. If you try to chase after it, uh, the happiness will, you cannot touch the shadow. The moment you try to chase after it, the shadow will run away. But if you don't care about the shadow, and if you just keep doing your thing, then the shadow will follow you. So happiness is like that. If you try to derive lot of happiness by our own endeavor, then Krishna says it will not be possible. Dukha yunana evate. But if we try to serve, and if we try to sacrifice our life for the benefit of others, um, then the happiness will by default follow us. Um, this is a quote by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Srila Prabhupada quotes in the purport, Bharata bhumite haila manushya janma yar, Janma sarthaka kara kari karo paropakar. One who has taken birth as human being in the land of India, Bharatvarsh, should make his life successful and work for the benefit of all other people. So Prabhupada used to say this many times, that if you have taken birth in the Bharatvarsh, ask yourself this question: Have you are you born in Bharatvarsh? Um, so Mahaprabhu's instruction is, one who has taken birth as a human being in the land of India, in Bharatvarsh, should make his life successful. Janma sarthaka kari. So you should practice Krishna consciousness, and you should perfect your life. Um, Kara paropkar, and work for the benefit of other people. So Prabhupada said anybody who is born in India should try to spread this Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. But before you spread Krishna consciousness, first you have to become Krishna consciousness. So first try to understand this Krishna consciousness, try to accept it more and more sincerely in your life, try to experience Krishna yourself. Once you become full, happy, satisfied in your own Krishna consciousness, then naturally you will would like to give Krishna to others. Because Gaurang Prabhu in one lecture says, Prachar or sharing Krishna consciousness is overflowing ecstasies. So first we have to become very satisfied in our own Krishna consciousness. And when our own happiness overflows, then when we share our own happiness with others, that is called prachar. So achar and prachar. Achar means you live a life, ideal life of Krishna consciousness, and then whatever joy you derive from that, you share that joy with others, and that becomes prachar. Dadichi Muni gave up his body by placing himself at the lotus feet of the Lord, absorbed in trance. He did not perceive his body separating from his self. So, thinking about the Lord, he gave up his body. Um, 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 and we know the verse from Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, whatever one remembers at the time of death, that state they can attain. So he meditated on the lotus feet of the Lord. And we saw that even Bhishma Dev, when Bhishma Dev was about to leave his body, Krishna personally came to him. And Bhishma Dev just meditated on the lotus face of Krishna, and he gave up his body. Another example is Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur said that, my Lord, I know you are going to end your earthly pastime. I I don't know how I'm going to survive in your separation. So please let me end my body while you are there on this planet. So Haridas Thakur um, uh, grabbed the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, put the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya in his heart, looking into the beautiful face of Gaurachandra, he gave up his body. And everybody glorifies Haridas Thakur as Bhishma, 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 because he passed, just he ended his life just like Bhishma Dev by looking at Krishna. So um, even Parikshit Maharaj, it is said that Parikshit Maharaj, we know, was cursed to um, die after 7 days by a Takshak bird. Before Takshak bird came and killed Parikshit Maharaj, right just before, Parikshit Maharaj meditated on the beautiful form of the Lord and ended his life. So just the curse happened by him. After 7 days he came and did that, but Parikshit Maharaj was in complete ecstasy when he went back home, back to Godhead. Um, so the as soon as Indra immediately approached Vishwakarma to manufacture a thunderbolt made using the bones of Dadichi Muni and angrily charged Vritrasura riding on Airavata surrounded by demigods. So Indra became very happy. Now great teachings, and Srila Prabhupada really takes that opportunity to glorify the selflessness of Dadichi Muni for the benefit of the whole humanity. Indra, as told by Lord Vishnu, Indra went to Vishwakarma. Vishwakarma is an architect for demigods. So Vishwakarma used the bones of Dadichi and carved a Vajra. Vajra is thunderbolt. Thunderbolt is the weapon of Indra, but this is a special Vajra. That Vajra can only kill Vratrasura, no other weapon. So Indra became very confident because he has faith on the words of Lord Narayan. He has the Vajra and all the demigods are there. So they ran um, towards the demons headed by Vratrasura. At the beginning of Treta Yuga, a fierce battle took place on the bank of Narmada between demigods and demons headed by Vratrasura. So the demigods, um, they all went to. Now this battle took place in this Manvantara um, at the beginning of Treta Yuga, right at the end of Satya Yuga. So Prabhupada describes in the purport around 120 million years ago. This battle took place between Vratrasura, and you see in the picture there is Vratrasura with his trident, and there are many other, um, and then there are demigods on one side, and this fierce battle took place. And this Narmada river is not the Narmada river on the earthly planet. This Narmada river is in the heavenly planets. That's where the battle took place. O king, when all the asuras came onto the battlefield headed by Vratrasura, they saw King Indra carrying the thunderbolt and surrounded by the Rudras, Vasus, um, um, Adityas, Ashwini Kumaras, Pitas, Vahanis, Maruts, Ribhus, Sadhyas, and Vishwavedas. Surrounded by his company, Indra shone so brightly that his effulgence was intolerable to the demons. Indra became really powerful because of the blessings of the Lord, and he has a Vajra now. So they all charge each other, and there is a description of the demigods' army. Rudra, Shiva was there, Vasus, earth, water, fire, air, ether. They are in charge, like fire god, Varuna, water god, um, and they all were there. Adityas, headed by Indra, is one of the Aditya. There are 8 sons of Aditi. They were there, and all other demigods were there, and they seemed really powerful. And there is this fierce battle that took place 120 million years ago. Demons attacked with lances, tridents, axes, swords, stones, trees, mountains. You can see this is a very old picture. You can see someone is holding a tree. Vritrasura is holding his own trident, and demigods have their own weapons. So this battle took place. Demigods cut their weapons into pieces in the sky before they could reach them. Um, um, and it was a thorough beginning of defeat right in the beginning. Everything the demons were throwing, the demigods with their bow and arrow and other weapons would crush their weapon into pieces. So all the strength of the demons were like nothing. Same demons, even without Vratrasura, were able to defeat before because they pleased spiritual master and Indra displeased spiritual master. But then this whole story happened. Demons could see that demigods have power of Lord Vishnu. They became afraid and they decided to flee, leaving aside their leader Vratrasura. So every all the demons they started running away. When now whatever weapons they have, they try to attack and went into pieces. Now alone they cannot fight. The weapons are uh, useless. So they became fearful. They started running away. Same things demigods did. When Vratrasura appeared, they attacked, and Vratrasura simply took all their weapons and swallowed. He just ate them all, and they thought Indra thought I used my best weapon Vajra, the thunderbolt, and he ate it. Now I don't know how to attack him. They ran to Vishnu, but this time they could see that they have become very powerful. So by worship of the Lord, one becomes powerful. Vratrasura, seeing his army broken and running away out of intense fear, smiled and spoke thus: O Viprachitti, O Namuchi, O Puloma, O Maya, Anarva, Samba, please hear me. So Vratrasura saw that his army started breaking. Vratrasura is powerful demon, but they are all small, great number of armies. They became afraid. They started running away for their life. And Vritrasura is calling out, "Ruko, ruko, ruko! Suno, suno! कहाँ भाग रहे हो आप लोग?" Um, Death is unavoidable, and Providence has not provided a means to escape it. Providence has not provided a means to escape it. Even if you run today or tomorrow, death will come. In that situation, who will not accept a glorious death? So when you have to die, better die a glorious death. Um, um, who will not accept a glorious death and promote oneself to higher planets? Um, and then Vatrasura says two types of death are glorious: living body with mind absorbed in the Lord, and dying in battlefield, never showing one's back. Um, Krishna um, use the same argument towards Arjuna also. That when Arjuna said, "I want to run away," Krishna said, "Don't run away. You have to fight." Prabhupada also mentions that our life is like a battle, and the life there are many obstacles, and many times we feel like amidst so many troubles, so many depressing situations, that we feel like, what should I do? But one has to continue. One has to continue and live life according to religious principles, according to dharma. um, so we see that Vratrasura is so learned. Even he was born as a demon, he did not read any Bhagavad Gita, but because of his past life, as because he's a great devotee, he's speaking the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita to the demons who are running away. Um, Demons ignore the word of Vratrasura. Demons taking demigods taking advantage, attacked from behind. So when demigods saw they are becoming weak, they are running away. They started running behind the demons, and they started killing the demons. So they took advantage. Now Vratrasura rebuked the demigods with anger and intolerance. What is the use of killing enemies from behind if they are fleeing in fear? So one of the religious principle of fighting is one should not attack from behind. Same thing we see even the Leela of Lord Ram, when Ram killed um, um, what was his name? Uh, uh, Vali. When Lord Ram killed Vali from behind, Vali was very upset. How can you kill me from behind? So Ram gave his own reasons. So what is the use of killing enemies from behind if they are fleeing in fear? It is inglorious. If you are heroic and have no ambition for sense gratification, then come before me. Vratrasura, although a great devotee, he acted um, 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 very bold and willing to fight according to dharmic principles. So he said, if you're not attached to sense gratification, why people are running away and not willing to fight? Because they're attached to sense gratification. That they don't want, they just want to win. And if there is an opportunity to lose, they want to run away. So they're attached to sense gratification. So if you're not attached to sense gratification, then come before me and fight with me. When Vratrasura roared with a resounded voice resembling lion, the demigods fainted as if struck by wonder. Just the sound of Vratrasura itself is so powerful, and the demons became very afraid. Demigods closed their eyes in fear. Vratrasura, taking up his trident and making earth tremble, trampled the demigods like a mad elephant tramples hollow bamboos. So, just like an elephant, when it puts his leg on the hollow bamboos, the bamboos are crushed. So these demigods, when they saw Vratrasura charging them, they closed their eyes in fear. Sometimes, um, we we just lose our consciousness. Like uh, sometimes devotees are driving, and when they lose control over steering, they just close their eyes and they shout, something like that. So um, the demigods lost control. They closed their eyes in fear, and Vratrasura started with his trident, walking, trampling, and fiercely started killing the demigods. In hundreds and thousands, he was killing demigods. Um, Indra became intolerant when Indra saw all my enemies are getting killed by this. This Vatrasura is like he's touching the sky, so he is he is supremely big, and although they were very enthusiastic, they killed lot of demons, but Vatrasura started trampling them. Indra became intolerant, and Indra threw a great club. He did not use Vajra, and it is described later on. We will see that next week. The consciousness of Vatrasura, the prayers of Vatrasura, and the glorious death of Vatrasura will be discussion for next week. Um, 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 but Indra himself did not have much faith in the weapon carved by Vishwakarma on the instructions of Narayan. Vratrasura reminds him, "You fool, use that weapon to kill me." So Indra did not use that because at this point of time, he was thinking, let me not use that weapon. But if it doesn't work, then nothing can happen. So he used his club. He threw a club onto Vratrasura, which Vratrasura caught it. He caught the club with his left hand and stuck Airavata. Airavata is the elephant of Indra. Um, Struck Airavata head and roared loudly. Spitting blood from his broken mouth, Airavata was pushed back 14 yards along with Indra. And as you can see in a picture, Airavata mouth is broken and blood is coming out from his mouth. Indra is completely unstable. Indra became very much afraid, and they both were pushed back 14 yards. Vratrasura, seeing condition of Indra, following religious principles, refrained from attacking further. So again, he was always following the principles of dharma. So he didn't do anything because Indra is unstable at this point of time. Refrained from attacking any further. Indra revived Airavata from suffering through nectar, and then again he got charged, and now there is a next part of um, um, the interaction, the further fight, and the consciousness of Vratrasura, his prayers at the time of death, and the glorious departure of Vritrasura. That will be discussion for next week. So that's all I have for today, and if there are any questions, please let me know.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Mataji.
Yes. Prabhuji, here you said, right, Indra was telling the dharma to Dadichi. Uh, but he himself, like, how much he was following that dharma, like, being devotee of Lord Vishnu. So that part, Prabhuji, like, I got little unclear on it. Like, how can he teach dharma, like, to teach all those principles to Dadichi when he himself is not doing?
Well, we can see from the perspective that it was the desire of Lord Vishnu. Um, he gave instruction that you go to Dadichi and ask for his bone, and because he is um, perfect in Brahma Gyan, he will give it to you without hesitation. We can see that as Lord's desire. Uh, the principle Indra spoke was perfect, but Indra was himself not following. I mean, when I see myself speaking, I feel myself in the boat of Indra, um, who is speaking these religious principles, but himself is highly unqualified. Uh, but my only hope in speaking these things is, Prabhupada said, um, repeat my words, and in a humble way I'm trying to repeat. That's what I can say.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you.
Okay, so we will end here. My obeisances to all of you. Vanchakalpatarubhesha kripa sindhubhe evacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. अनंत कोटि वैष्णवृंद की जय, शिला प्रभुपाद की जय. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, done
Hare
that
Krishna
pranam.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.